We're now
Hello,
live. Hi. Oh, very quickly. Hi, Samantha. Welcome to our 2024 World Championships recap with, once again, the wonderful Corey Circelli,
Hey.
who was also at Worlds, as was Anna.
The rest of us were not.
The rest of us had to stay up late to watch it, but it was fine because it was a really great event, I think. So yeah, what were your thoughts and what was it like to be inside the stadium, because it looked at times like it was a really great environment?
Yeah, Corey and I got to meet in person too, which was fun, and watched a little bit of men's practice together too. So that was great.
It was honestly, like, I feel like there was a lot of talk about potential poor ticket sales, and then I got there kind of like in expecting that, and I was like, no, don't read anything I read on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, it was full, and especially for the final 2 days. Like, honestly, even the pairs free, the women's free, and the men free, and the ice dance free, all the free skates packed. And I was sitting there with like an accreditation where you didn't have like an assigned seat. You kind of just had to, it was like a section, and it was like first come, first serve. And I showed up a little bit after the ice resurfacing for the dance free, and I didn't have anywhere to sit. It was completely full, so I had to go like find like a quiet corner, which I did, thank God. And watched the final two groups. I was like, it was insanely full.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there with like, because it was definitely showing with as of a couple weeks ago that the ticket sales looked really bad, but then it wasn't in the end. So
Sure.
I don't know if people
I had a couple friends that
last minute
just went, and if you bought it at the door, it was $50.
Wow.
Yeah, if you bought it like as the event was like about to happen, it's $50. So to me, and for the whole day, and you could get everything included. So it was like that was like a great deal. Like, but they had like a very high section that they didn't fill, and I kind of wanted them to just like go on the street and say $15, $10, just to get that like last like nosebleed seat like full just in my head. But it was still like the main bowl and the upper level were completely full.
Yeah, the first couple days I didn't feel like I was at Worlds. Not that I've ever been to a Worlds before, and I think probably it was because I felt like, well, I'm here, so this can't be Worlds. I don't know. Like that was like I was having a funny feeling because when it wasn't full as well. But I realized that part of that was because the media seats were behind the kiss and cry, so I was just looking out at like all of the empty red chairs that were on the opposite short side. And then when I went around to sit with a friend during practice and I could look back and see the kiss and cry with all of the like Northern Lights branding and all of the everything, suddenly it was like, oh, this feels like we're at Worlds. And I was like, okay, this was just my chair that I was in.
Yeah, I mean, it was also hard that they started on a Wednesday. Like, it will never feel like a World Championships on the Wednesday, even the Thursday. Thursday night, you start to get a little bit of something, and then by Friday, I feel like that's kind of like a fair feeling.
Yeah, but it was cool that there were so many people there. I felt like even from the media section, it was there were tons of media, tons of Canadian media, tons of Japanese media, like, but it was interesting for me to see that this was it was the first competition that I'd been to where there were like people from the Washington Post and the Toronto, whatever it is, and the like it was interesting to see that it was like, okay, like a small amount, but actual mainstream media was covering it. And I will also say that they started out the event, and this, from my experience of this as press, that they had on Tuesday a media reception that was actually really nice. They like had drink tickets and food, and it was in like a private room of the sports bar placed next to the arena. And so it actually was like a really nice welcome to the event. And they had I got to meet Mark Hanreddy in person and get introduced to Tanya Kwiatkowski, which was a very funny moment because Mark just kept saying, and this is Tanya, who I'm doing commentary with. And like, I didn't know who she was. So then I eventually had to be like, who are you? Are you also like a skater? Like, and she was like, oh yeah, I'm Tanya Kwiatkowski. I'm like, I saw you on TV, which was a funny thing, a silly thing to say, but I suddenly had this like flashback to being a kid and watching like the Michelle Kwan era of like U.S. women, and like I was like, I know that name. So anyway, it was very funny, but it was a nice way to start out the event. Since we don't get to have the fancy banquet at the end, they gave us a little pre-event snacks.
I think then we'll start with the event that kicked everything off.
Yeah.
The pairs event.
Even if this photo is technically from like the last thing that happened in the competition.
Yeah.
Because the Japanese pair weren't there.
Yeah. This is the reconstructed pairs podium. So gold was Dieta Stellato Dudek and Maxime Deschamps. Silver was Riku Miura and Richi Chiara, and bronze was Minerva Fabian Hasse and Nikita Volodin. And I would like to say that I predicted this podium in our preview, so I'm going to, and I'm very bad at predictions, so I'm very pleased with myself for having actually called I think the bronze. That was the only thing that was maybe more surprising here.
Yeah, I had these three teams, but not in this order, so I feel slightly good about that.
I had a different idea. I was sure Deanna. I knew like she would be like super hungry for it, and like to me they're in a class above. Like their pair elements are stellar. I thought the Japanese were second, but I had it in my head. I was like Georgia 3.
That's what Sarah had.
Yeah.
I just refused.
But that free skate was in person, not right. Yeah.
I thought their short was pretty good. The Georgians, as I was watching it in practice, I was thinking, actually, I feel like this is growing on me. I felt like it was horrible when it started, but maybe I'm just getting adjusted to it.
No, I found their short, I think, worked because it was still like a junior and senior short are the same. The free, I could almost feel where they added the time. Because there was like 2 spots where they were just stationary.
Standing there, just kind of waving their arms around. And I'm just
100%.
like, you're clearly filling time.
And we were both like, was that planned? Like, there's no way that was planned. And the way that music edit happened didn't like climax right. It felt flat in the arena. And I was just like, oh, because I really wanted, I had them in my mind for the bronze. But to be honest with you, as much as I love the German team that came third, I felt that the Hungarians were rightful bronze medalists. I've never been more comfortable watching a world championship performance. Like I sat down and was like, well, they're not going to miss anything. And not only did they not miss anything, everything was the highest. To me, their throws and side-by-side jumps and twists was the highest of the event. And I would like say that to my dying day. Their throws look like nothing. She jumps better than most of the women in the individual. I'm going to be honest. Like gorgeous technique, gorgeous landings. It's just they're very young and they kind of give off a bit of a junior vibe. And the programs don't exactly give them the opportunity to kind of get those high 8s in components. But like that's like easy things to work on. To me, it's like keep them in mind. I think like they could make a huge statement because they scream like the type of pair team that could like do some really interesting. Like I'm sure she could do a quad throw. I'm certain. She's so solid at jumping.
Yeah, they're so interesting as a team. at least Maria speaks very good English. And she actually said that she had trained for a little while at the cricket club.
Yes, I know her very well.
Yeah.
We used to like play around and do like pair things on our breaks. She came when she was almost like, I'm gonna say 10, and in Russia there was no requirements, but she was gonna compete at Canadian domestic events, and there was no requirements, and she had a program, and she was competing at a Canadian event the next week, and it had 4 double-S's planned, and we were like, sweetie, like that's not gonna work. Like, we're gonna need to. And it was to Flight of the Bumblebee, and it was just this chaotic, like you can imagine, this like chaotic Russian Flight of the Bumblebee, and she was wearing a bumblebee costume. You can, yes.
That sounds adorable, but
it
also,
was adorable,
yes.
but it was so like, oh my god. But by the end, she had gorgeous triplets, gorgeous triple flip. Like she's a very, very strong jumper.
Yeah, and you know, at Europeans, she was pretty frank about feeling that they were underscored, and then feeling really frustrated that she felt like they were doing what they should be doing, and their PCS wasn't getting scored. And I mentioned that I watched part of Paris practice with Kirsten Moortowers while she was preparing for doing commentary, and she was saying, "Oh no, I can see why their PCS was scored that way. They'd never touched during their steps, you know, during their step sequence." And so she was pointing out some of the skating skills, but really some of that like partnering that goes between the elements that they need to work on. But I think Maria was very happy with the scores here and felt like they were back on track, that like, okay, the judges aren't, you know, victimizing us, like we are going to get rewarded for what we do. Yeah, so that it was interesting though, because she was very frank about like where she feels like they should be. And
I appreciate that.
yeah.
I hate fake interviews.
Yeah.
I hate that.
I was very happy
here, and it's such an honor, and I want to go and skate my best, and it's so great, and I love the crowd. No, tell me what you're thinking. Like, yeah. I can like, or else just don't give an interview. Like, I don't know.
Who did also say what he was thinking and was not happy was Mikhail Siba, and I completely agree. I'm jumping all around here, but I really think that the Dutch team was underscored. Their free skate was strong, and I think that they got very low PCS for one of the most well choreographed and musically skated performances. Like they're not the fastest team, or maybe, you know, like I'm not saying that they should be up with the top, but like they're I'm having a total blank on the name of the band that is their skating
Fleetwood Mac.
Thank you. My brain is not as it should be today. But their program is so good, and they're like one of the only teams that can actually land their 3-jump combination on beats in the music that make it seem like it's not just taking up huge amounts of time and awkward. So I was with them on the frustration about feeling like they were in the first group for the free skate.
Yeah, they were
really low. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope they keep that free skate for another year. They're thinking about it. They're definitely getting a new short.
It's so good.
And since we're kind of in a stream of talking about them, I was just going to say, I thought it was really interesting coming into this event that all of the teams that work with Dmitry Savin had a camp together in Oberstdorf right before Worlds, where they did a competition simulation. And like the whole thing, they did a draw, they had their costumes, they had a panel, they put together the whole thing. And also it sounds like worked really, really hard. They were all like, we were miserable. We did like double run throughs for a week. It was really hard, but it was also, all of those teams seemed really prepared. And that's with the German team that got the bronze, and the Dutch team, the Hungarian team, and the Polish team. And, you know, they didn't all have like clean programs, but they all seemed so well honed for the event. And it was interesting. They don't all train together on a regular basis, but they all do very much feel like a coherent team and all supporting each other with those 4.
Yeah, they all definitely looked pretty prepared. I found the other Germans, Anika,
Yes,
Robert.
Yes, I was just gonna say I've never been so happy in my life that Annika landed both of her triple star cows. Like I've been waiting for that moment all season. I was like screaming at home.
I was training with her in Italy for 2 weeks, and she works very, very hard. But I didn't see her successfully do that for the 2 weeks that I was there. And then when she was on warm up, I was like, okay, she's on. And then she did it in the event, and it looked so solid. And I was like, this work she must have put in since December must have been like really, really good.
I know she was so disappointed at Europeans because she said she'd been training them really well, like while Robert was recovering from his back injury. So she was like drilling the jumps, and she was so like upset that she didn't land them there.
I would like to see a different approach for their programs next season. I feel like we've been kind of in this like Rocky vibe short program, this like somewhat contemporary free. Pants, they love it. She loves a pant. She said, I've got a pant in every color and shape. And I want to see 2 dresses next season.
Oh, okay.
I don't see the fascination why we keep putting her in pants. Like,
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up though with, I think they are getting 2 new programs, but whether they end up with 2 upbeat programs, they seem very committed to doing the kind of rock or pop kind of style as the thing that sets them apart from some of the other, like I remember Annika saying like every team skates to slow music and sad music and like all of these like urgy pair programs, and they want to be different. So,
and the crowd really responds well to their like rocky, like upbeat vibe. So I can see why they want to stay in that avenue.
I know she was asking for music suggestions like 2 days ago as well. So
great. I'll send her a list. I will. I mean it.
Good.
I think I know they kept their free skate, but to see it skated how it was at Worlds, I think they're like very happy to like they can close that chapter almost and say we've done what we wanted to do with this one, which I enjoyed.
Now, a program that I hope doesn't stay for next year but comes back for Olympics is obviously our interview with Vampire.
Ooh, yeah.
That would be really good at the Olympics.
I to me, there's a lot of people, and I'll mention them as they go, that I'm like, that is an Olympic program. Don't do it next year. Do something else. Because it is so entertaining to watch that I'm like, it's gonna be hard to find something better.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It was the craziest moment in person. When she landed the throw loop, I was sitting in the skater section. We all stood up for the last 45 seconds. And the only other person, and we'll get to that later, was Ilya. My section, I like forced everyone. I literally grabbed everyone's hands. When he landed the Let's Axel, I said, and now we're standing. For the last minute of this program. I'm like, and if you're not, you do not understand what you just watched.
Yeah.
So get up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so the pairs though, it was crazy because obviously home crowd.
Yeah.
I was sad. So I did not actually get to watch the pairs short, the last group live, and I wish I had like run up to go see the Dan and Max's short too, because I think it's so high energy. I could hear the crowd going for them, but I did see the free, and it was such a moment. It was so exciting to see her. I mean, to see them both just have this moment, but just like she's so expressive about it that it was fantastic. And I have to say, I was also really happy for Riku and Ryuichi to be able to come in so strong here. Like, I did not expect them to be able to get the title again, but I know it's been such a hard season, and it was good to see them be looking like themselves, and like it made me feel like, okay, like hopefully they'll come back next year with like hopefully with better material, but like able to really be right up at that top level.
I'd love to see them with a Lori Neckel program.
Yes.
They're the level of skater that I think would benefit from that Sui and Han level of program. And it's nothing to against why am I blanking? I know her personally.
Julie Marcotte.
Yes. But I think that they're at the level that what's going to set them apart, especially you don't want the same choreographer as your number one competitor. To me, I find like whenever Hanyu and Nathan did that, I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that like you're choreographing both of them. Like you can willingly make who you want to have the better one, whatever. But I want them to see a Lori. Like I want that level of depth and intensity and detail.
I want someone, maybe them or maybe another team, to convince Sandra Bezic to come back and do some Paris choreography, because I think she's hungry. I think she would do it if somebody really went to her for it, and that would be very fun to see what she would do with this system.
Yeah, for sure. I was a bit disappointed for the Italians watching them both. Mainly because we weren't able to get the 3 spots, which isn't that crazy because whoever goes next year will be able to do it. It's just unfortunate that both teams didn't skate a good free skate. But so I think we're still fine for like Olympics to have the 3. I just think that we're going to need, well, first of all, Lucrezia, I'm very close with her and Matteo. We're going to need a better free skate. It's like, They know.
I liked it, but I do think they burnt themselves out by the time they got to Europeans.
It's just like
a lot of people did.
But the music edit's wrong. The choreo's wrong. It doesn't serve him the purpose that he's like very well mature in skating, and that's why I think the short program works for them so well, because they can like play off of this like dynamic. They need to be very smart with music. And obviously I know that they are planning to attempt to include a quad south throw next season. And they're potentially trying quad twist. So I will be interested to see what they're going to do. I definitely think they need to really hone in on the side-by-side jumps. Their toes are so solid. You'll never see them miss it. Sao, it's a bit of a different situation. I mean, there is always like the question of if they're going to remove the combination in the short program or the free skate for the pairs. And in that case, like, I guess it kind of opens, maybe they do a different jump for the other solo element, but it's too early to think. I'm just interested to see. To me, it's like if we can work on some bigger technical elements to set us apart, because a Sao and a loop throw, as much as Deanna is able to maximize on those GOEs, she's really getting her points from the lifts, the twist, the death spiral, all the pair elements. Because a Sao and a loop throw, I typically would say isn't enough. It's not going to cut it. So I would like to see them try the quad. And for Conti Maxi, it was great for a program for them. I don't know. I think it was a tough season with expectations for them. I know she was terribly sick during the week of Italian Nationals with a huge fever. They've had a couple injuries here and there, but they also aren't together anymore. So this season, so that's always, they both have other partners like in life. So I'm sure that there was like a lot to like recalibrate. I think it's totally fine to kind of that this season was a little bit low. Next season is pre-Olympics and the next one is all or nothing. So if there is a season to kind of chill, if you're peaking now, it's a bit hard to maintain. We'll see.
I just always thought it was a mistake for them to keep that free skate after everyone had seen it so much last season. I thought it was a bad idea from the start. And then they come out saying their short program, we want this to be our Olympic short program, and then it doesn't entirely work, and they have to go back to a program that they've used for like 2 seasons prior. It's just they need to figure out what they want their image to be a bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I you know, and this is one of those things of like, you know, I'm not saying that Nicolo can't be upset with a bad performance. Like, absolutely he can. He I've now seen him twice in a row be like really angry, really upset, really mad at himself, and just like kind of walk away from Sarah in that moment.
Yeah.
And again, like, I'm seeing a tiny little thing of them, but it did make me feel like that's a really intense I don't know. It just seemed like a very intense reaction, and something that would be hard, you know, especially if you have a hard, you know, you have a bad short program. How do you get back together for the free? I don't know. It's like, again, he can be upset. I'm not saying he has to like pretend like everything's fine, but he had one of the more extreme reactions that I've seen to somebody having a bad skate.
So, like, I've seen people say he looks a bit like Vincent van Gogh. Maybe lean into that. Do like a Vincent and like a muse, like a painter's muse program or something. Like, try and create something interesting for the audience.
They have worked with the same choreographer. She's a woman that works in Bergamo, Rafi. She's a very lovely, passionate woman. But they've done a lot of programs with her, so I kind of want to see maybe one of them next season with a different approach, different attack. They've really painted themselves, and they are the classical, very clean-cut hair team, and that's why I kind of want to see something a little bit out of the box, maybe just next season. And then I think Italian operas. Let's just do them all for the Olympic season. Also, Verdi, everyone. Puccini, let's go. Like, who's taking it? Put it on the table.
I'm totally for that. I think Rebecca and Filippo also need a nice, like, an opera program, but not as comic of an opera program as they had before. I think they could do something fun with a.
Yeah, she also needs no more pants, and I will tell her that too. I don't know this with hairs and pants. To me, pants, the pants work when you do like Carolina Costner Nice, and it's a part of the costume, and it's this gradient of sequence, and it's gorgeous. Pants work when it's like a street dance short program in ice dance. To me, wearing Lululemon leggings for every costume, like Luna Hendricks did in the Free, that's not like a costume. I don't know. I don't like it. If you're gonna do it, it makes sense.
Well, I agree with have it make sense. I love the pants look for Rebecca and Filippo. I have to say, I don't think they need to do it for every program or whatever, and they don't always, but like, I thought their short program costumes this year were so fun that they were so matching. I'm a fan of the you know, put the pair teams in as close to matching costumes as you can get.
Fair.
I just think if you have really good matching lines with your partner, they can work. Like,
if
I think
interesting. If it's just a plain pair of black leggings,
yeah,
it looks like you're in practice. I don't know. And the
I will
take
that. Yeah,
they love a pant. Like almost every group, there's like 2 or 3 people with a pant. And it just like, oh, I don't know. It's my personal taste.
Yeah.
Move on to
but I just feel like huge congratulations though to the podium here, and to we talked a little bit about them, but I felt like I knew that Minerva and Nikita had their fluke at Europeans, and they were going to get it back together here and be motivated. And I'm I'm really excited to see what they do next season, because they've already sort of been hinting that they're doing something very different stylistically. But yeah, I think they could be really exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm super interested to see, since I talked to a whole bunch of teams about the potential changes that are coming in pairs with more choreo elements and changing up how the spins work and choreo lift and all of this. I'm really interested to see if all those changes end up going through, what that does to next season. I also heard a lot of teams be quite frustrated that they can't actually plan their program content yet, because there might be changes coming and they don't know if they're happening for sure or not. So I'm gonna try. I'm working on an article about that in particular.
If things have to go through Congress, I mean, Congress isn't until June.
Yeah.
Like, so the finalized things won't be finalized until nearly the start of the next season.
And I heard a lot of that pushback of like people saying like, okay, fine, changes, but why change it during the mid Olympic cycle?
It felt like a lot of these changes could have been made like right after the last Olympics, but they just didn't really do anything at Congress in the last Olympics, like in terms of like technical changes to programs and stuff. So much apart from like adding the sequence base value up or something, but like they didn't really do a lot of experimenting.
Whatever they change will never be worse than changing IJS the year before the Torino Olympics. So that was just like, why not? What else do you want to change? Mark the gala.
Before we move on to dance, I think I just want to run through some comments that we've been getting. So Laura saying Pavlova and Sviatchenko are good, but I feel like they have not found the right kind of programs for them.
I honestly, though, was relieved that they'd dropped the slow Muzak version of Another One Bites the Dust, because that was my least favorite thing all year, and I hated it. It got a little bit samey with the kind of same music they went with like the world, but I would rather that than that horrible version.
Melissa saying, I feel like I suffered so much with Annika and Robert that I was almost more excited for their 5th place than the German bronze.
And I got 3 spots for next year as well, so that's great.
Yeah. And Miriam saying, Minerva said they've already chosen their short program music and it'll be something new, something different, nothing slow.
Interesting.
I think we'll move on to the dance, which
I got this podium right.
In gold was Madison Chock and Evan Bates. In silver, Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier. And in bronze was Charlene Gounard and Marco Fabry.
The scariest moment of the competition where Charlene's dress got stuck in her skirt and I nearly died.
Yes.
The professionalism, it was insane.
That was terrifying.
Like I don't know very many people that could have handled that so well. You would never have seen it in her face, and she was aware of the whole moment.
I was watching her. I was like, is she gonna like, what's gonna happen? And then she just calmly went through the rest of the program. It was like 20 seconds as well.
Yeah, she was lucky it was 2 lift elements, but she still had to skate for a little bit. Yeah, she handled it so well.
I think they only got level 2 on that last lift, but they kept the bronze. Who cares?
Yeah.
They survived.
Yeah, it was an interesting event. I can't say I predicted that podium. I had it a little different, but I mean, it is. But dance is like it's a personal preference event. Like I was sitting with a friend of mine who knows nothing about figure skating. I took him to watch, and his favorites were like he was always wrong. And I'm like, it's interesting to take like someone's perspective from the outside. So like, oh, I love that. They're the best. Or he like, and then he'd just be on his phone for someone else.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, they're about to win. And you're like, but
yeah.
So who was your predicted podium?
I had Charlene and Marco second.
Interesting.
I don't know. I really love. I think their short dance is Rob to me. I love it.
Oh yeah.
It's so campy and it's so fun. And to me, it's the best of a group. So I would have had them significantly higher in the short.
Yeah.
Like, they were second, but I would have put them like 89.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just come to
really
expect
like their
Hawk winning.
short. I was so glad though that Piper and Paul won the free because I love that free dance so much, and seeing it live, I
think she actually touched the computer this time. Am I wrong, or did my eyes deceive me? I was watching I
was watching so far away from their side of the rink, I have no clue, but
I was like, I swear I saw the computer move. I swear. It was so
I'm not sure if she did or not.
Oh my god. And such a moment. Like the audience, like, and to skate last, like they really, like, I don't know what kind of manifestation candle they lit the night before, because to draw last in home crowd audience world championships is for ice dance. For singles, hell. But for ice dance, that's the greatest draw you could have ever dreamt. When I saw that, I was like, okay, so they're either going to win or second, because it's going to be such a moment.
Yeah.
Did I low-key read an interview? I know them very well, but I never want to ask them, like, are you still skating? Because, like, I just feel like that's, like, pushing a boundary a little bit. But I feel like I read somewhere that she said that silver this year, maybe gold the next. So was that, like,
I saw that quote.
Kind of soft launching? They're continuing. I'm very hopeful. I don't want them to stop. I feel
I saw that quote.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get any sense from them that they were not saying like, oh, we're so glad to have our, like, if we stop, it's our home world. Like, they were not saying any of that. Like, they were not giving any indication that this was it. I mean, I feel like for them, the 50s, 60s, 70s could be perfect.
I so see them like
so
flower power or something, like 60s style.
Costume, I see the hair, I see the drama, I see the announcing, and they're like in a little waltzy. I hope they're doing 50s. In my head, they are. So I don't care what they're doing. They're doing
interesting.
50s.
In my head, they're doing 60s, but that's
same. Like, I see them as like flower power kind of like.
Oh really? No, but they could do that too. They could also do disco. They could do anything.
Yeah, they could do anything.
Yeah,
they really could.
See, I think that this rhythm dance is going to be really good for teams that are good character skaters and teams that where like both partners are very strong performers. But they like, so it's like all the teams that sometimes struggle with the more ballroom romantic stylings, like, I think are actually going to have a really good time with this. Like, especially hearing what the judges were looking for in terms of it being like social dance, and this whole thing of like going out to dance with your friends as the like vibe. I think there's some teams that are going to be able to hit that really well. And it's going to be harder for others, but in a way that's sometimes different from like who has it easier normally. Like, I think sibling teams are going to have an easier time than usual with this rhythm dance.
Yeah, Tashlers, I think, are going to eat that up. Like, they're going to be fine.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because it is so wide open. I would have 100% narrowed down the theme, because
my fear is that because they're allowed to use remixes and covers as well, that we're just going to get like a lot of bad Elvis covers.
A lot of Glee covers.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So that's the part of this that's scaring me. But back to Marco and Charlene though. I watched the top flight live, and so I didn't talk to as many of the top teams here, but I actually saw them live, which was worth it. And I love the comparison of seeing with Marco and Charlene, you just get this sense with their edges that they are actually skating into the ice in the way that some of the other skaters are just kind of, gliding over it. And I felt like I can tell that so much from when I see them, even from far away. You can't see all of the nuances as much of what they're doing, but you just get that overall impression. And it makes a big difference for me seeing. That's where I feel like it was hard. Chalk and Bates just don't connect for me. This free dance just doesn't connect. When I see bits of it, I'm like, oh, that's really cool in isolation, but it doesn't work as an overall impression for me.
Also, they messed up the opening stationary lift and were not marked down for that. I was like, is her foot in the wrong place? And like I saw other people say, it's like, yeah, her foot's not in the same place that it has been all year.
It was just flat to me.
Yeah.
It happened. It happened. And they didn't make any glaring errors. And it happened.
Yes.
And that's how I would describe it. She's gorgeous.
And that's how it goes.
They hit some gorgeous positions.
Yeah.
And they handled that pressure so well. And that's what they did.
Yeah.
And she's a great performer.
Beautiful. Oh God, you can't keep your eyes off her. But when I'm like trying to judge, like in my head, like I know nothing about this event, but when I'm trying to judge like who is the top, I always go back to if there was a pattern dance, who would win? And it wouldn't be them.
Yeah.
As much as I love and I'm a fans of them, they would be significantly low in the pattern dance because it's all about speed and power and carving. And in person, they are slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite slow.
On TV, they're pretty slow as well.
Yes. And they don't carve the same like way. It's very intricate, very army, very passing. Like it's very beautiful to watch. But I like if you put on like, for example, the Yankee polka or like even honestly like the Ravensburger, like it would be interesting to see what they would do with that. And that's why I was talking to Paul Poirier. We were at a wedding a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying he would love if they brought back a pattern dance. And I think it'd be great. I think it would be such an event, and it would kind of give the ice dancers a little bit more like gravitas to walk around with because they have an extra, like they're doing more than everyone else now with an extra segment. And I think
you think going back to 3 segments?
I do because right now it feels a little bit like a battle of the choreographers.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel enough like the best skaters are winning. The best programs are winning. And that isn't to me enough to make it such a high level sport. Not saying that it's not difficult, but when everyone's doing the same set of steps, it is making it a real event. And it's making it like there's no chance you could get a pair skater do that, a single skater to do that. There's no way the winner of the women's program, it doesn't matter how much she trains, she will never be able to do that deep of a pattern dance. And I think that they need that. I think it could change it up a little bit, make it interesting. And it would affect the results so drastically. Like someone like Charlene and Marco would destroy the pattern dance. And like a Marjo and Zach would be so fiery. They go 150%. It'd be so entertaining to watch.
And then when the commentators say, well, this team might be really entertaining, but they don't have the same depth of edges, you'd have the results of that segment to back that up with. I actually 100%. Think that it would help to explain it to the non-intense fan. Yeah.
Ice dance has been getting progressively easier since 2018.
Exactly. And that's why
I'm mad about it.
Amongst all the other skaters, it's a little bit like
because it's been the introduction of all of these choreographic elements that have massive GOEs attached to them but very little base value.
And it's simply political because
it's smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah. I don't know if we'll get that before the games and honestly, I feel like the podium's pretty set for the games. Like we know like the top 3. Nobody's cracking that top 3. The only thing that could happen is if France is back, then someone gets the boot.
I'm never gonna underestimate the political power of Marie-France and trying to get figures on the podium.
I mean, Gabby don't need any, and they have all the political power, but they don't need anything. They can go out and do crossovers and win, and it's totally fine.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that would be super interesting would be and this is where I think I get frustrated with ice dance, is that I want to see where, I want like mini podiums with it. Like I get so frustrated with the like, okay, well that's who's competing for the podium, that then I sort of stop paying as much attention for them, and I'm like, okay, well then where are people within this 4, 5, 6, or within like who's going to make it into the top 10? And sometimes those feel like more exciting, actual competitive battles than the top.
This is why also the pattern dances would affect it so well.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those lower teams would, like the Mrazkis, would honest to God win the pattern dance. And if they didn't,
it's insane.
So BS.
Yeah.
Because they would destroy the pattern dance.
Yeah, and the Tashlers.
Yeah,
the Tashlers would also. They would be in the top 3.
Their edges are insane. Their knee bend is insane. Like the amount they get into the ice is
that's
far
why I think it'd be so
outlasting
worth
everyone else.
bringing it back, and it would make the top teams have to work for it a bit more.
And I think that I would love to see, the skaters that are taking. Right now, it feels like the skaters are getting rewarded for taking risks in ways that are like likely to get them dropped on their head. Even though I'm glad that they're adding the seconds onto the lifts, probably. That they're going to have a little more time. But I was thinking about the 2 teams that made big mistakes. Emily and Ian, with their like fluke fall, and then the Tashlers as well, having that missed lift. And up until those mistakes, those were the teams that I was finding some of the most exciting. Just like they were skating fast, they were pushing like right to the edges of their ability. Like that was so exciting. And yeah, they made big mistakes because they weren't skating carefully. And I don't know, I found that so much more exciting in some ways than some of the teams that we know where they know where they're going to be, we know where they're going to be.
Yeah
I mean, Marjorie and Zach had such a huge moment at this competition, and the fact that they weren't even on the world team last year baffles my mind. And there's probably a lot of people's like favorite skate of the night, and that comes 5th in the end.
Yeah, I really feel like they're being like prepared to be the 2027 world champion, and kind of carry
honest to
it.
God is.
Yeah.
Well, and then I want the battle, what I'm interested in is what does it look like when you have, in my mind, they're not all getting the same scores right now, but in my mind, you have them, Carrera Ponomarenko, the Tashlers, and Luisi and Theo, the younger French team. And I want those 4 competing and pushing each other. And they're not all in like they're not all at the same level right now, but like that's what I think of like the younger generation and who is coming up and is exciting to me. That's who I like go look for and go watch.
Yeah.
And I was so impressed though with Christine and Anthony here. Their especially their rhythm dance I thought was so great. I know everybody loves their free dance. It is not just it doesn't do it for me. I think they do a great job with it. It's not my thing, but I love their rhythm dance.
Yeah, I got to watch that one live and it was so fun. I'm just gonna say it, like this is really unpopular opinion, and I feel like I'm a good guy for this. But like c'est la vie. I enjoyed the Georgians. I think they did a great. I think he could be one of the best men's skaters in the field.
I wouldn't go that high a praise, but he is demonstrably better than she is.
Yes. But I don't find her that bad. I feel like people love to hate.
She was better here than she has been most of the year.
People love to like hate her, hate mom, and I understand. But like I think she's doing a great job. And I think she's not doing as bad as other people in the event.
Yeah. I think people are probably going to be much more receptive to them now that they feel like they're in a more deserving spot than they were when they
I just feel like
competed for Russia.
they could have been quite problematic this season coming from Russia.
Mhm.
And I felt like they went really under the radar in the interviews in a good way. They
Mhm.
felt very professional. And I did get to watch one of their practice sessions, and he is amazing to watch. And they twizzle
still
so
mad.
fast. I love watching the twizzles.
I'm still mad that she had a braid for Swan Lake.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, and
Not a
that was
lick.
something you must have heard that criticism at some point this season because a lot of people have mentioned it. So
Yeah,
change it for Worlds.
for sure. No, I
Especially
did
when they went back to back with the Mrazkovi.
Yes,
And then she's got a bun. It's just like she can do it.
for sure. I did prefer the costumes this week. They had like 3 short dance costumes this season. And we just kept changing them. In the free, I did prefer this one than the other one, especially his. I felt like it was kind of more of a modern approach to Black Swan, which I was interested about. I want to see what they're going to do next year. I am interested with their coaching team. I don't know if that's the coaching team I would stay with. To me, they're already getting so much hate. Just go to Julien. You know what I mean? Like everyone, like bless their souls. Like for whatever reason, people love to hate her. Like she's public enemy number 1. When poor girl is just doing figure skating.
Yeah.
Like she's just figure skating. She just has like a very controversial mother, but she's just figure skating.
Yeah.
And she never has said anything wrong. And she's a nice girl. Like I don't know. I have a problem with people hating someone for no reason. Like if you say something, I get it. I'll join the party.
Yeah.
But she's just doing like she has a double citizenship. She has opportunity. Take it. Like I don't know. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Because they have some incredible lifts and incredibly fast twizzles and very interesting choreo elements. So I'm like,
I think they kind of have to move away from doing war horses so much and just carve out more of their own identity. Because doing Moulin Rouge for the Olympics 4 years after Tessa Scott was the worst idea you could have possibly had.
100,000%.
And then you do Swan Lake this year, and it's just it's fine, but it's not going to get people to kind of understand you as a team and your personalities and who you are.
If there's anything that's you could pick that's going to make people think, oh right, you're Russians, like you pick Swan Lake. Like it just seemed like a very odd choice.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I'm interested what they're gonna take with it because now it's not their first season competing outside of Russia. I just personally like I don't know. I find them very clean. I don't know. It's just like a preference to me. I like interesting elements. Their lift to me is the best lift of the event. That like upside down thing on one foot. It's like the level of work that it would take to get into that. And like,
I mean, it's difficult.
It's crazy.
Because he messed it up at Europeans, so it proves how difficult it is.
Yeah.
On the topic of Swan Lake, Miriam asked or said that she's curious to know what the reaction was like to back Swan Lake in the arena.
I think it was strange. Like it was a little bit like. Okay. The teams that skated after them, it was a breath of fresh air. They're like, thank God, not again.
I was in a particularly chaotic moment in the mix zone, so I didn't see. That was the period of time when you have like 4 teams all backstage, all talking to reporters in different languages simultaneously, and it's like chaos. So I didn't actually even see the Mrazek's free skate, free dance. I talked to them and they were happy, but also very happy to be done with their rhythm dance that they felt like didn't really suit them. So
it's really like good at getting the audience on side, though. I think. I mean, obviously there were like 4 holding out for heroes across the entire event, so it's a little bit much. But I think it was a good vehicle for their first season as seniors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The team that I definitely want to shout out though is Yuko Yuka and Yuho. I thought they were so good here in both programs, and they didn't get quite the boost that they got at Europeans, but they had the crowd on their side. They're just so much fun, and so they're also asking for help picking new programs. So I promised that we would share that they want people to tell them what they should, ideas for what they should skate to next year, because they've done 2 popular and very different programs for their last 2 free dances, and they were like, I don't know what we want to do next. So
I want to shout out Hannah and Ye as well, because obviously World's debut, I think they ended as well with their free dance. They had such a solid performance. I wasn't sold on the like tango umbrellas at first. They've completely won me over. So
yeah, agreed.
I'm super excited to see what they do next year, because I love them. I love their skating. I think they're fantastic performers. I didn't like have any particular, connection to either of these pieces. They felt like things they were growing with, and figuring out like what their style is. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see where they go. And also, I hope they never get media training. They're just such sweet people, and are very they just seem very genuine and a little chaotic occasionally, and I just so appreciate that they're so much fun to talk to.
I feel like they're a team who might struggle a bit in picking a rhythm dance theme for themselves next year. And I hope they don't. I hope they pick something that really helps them thrive, but they're still kind of finding their identity, and if it doesn't work, it could be a bit of a flop. But hopefully they find something that
they could come across very June. If they went for the ease, if they went for what would be easy for them, I picture them being kind of in the 50s vibe, and it might make them seem very young.
And they might want to go like 60s or 70s to kind of avoid that.
Yeah.
And again, don't go like Grease or anything like that.
Yeah. I feel like we need to start making a list of like things we don't want to see people do for the next year.
Don't do this. Don't do that.
Just to run through some comments before we move on. Claudia saying, Mark mentioning the age of the top teams over and over again, like the wave of Ice Dance retirements after 2026 is going to hit like a tsunami.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of them disappearing.
Someone said Glee covers should be a mandatory 2-point deduction, which I laughed at.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I think we can move on to women.
And in gold we have Kaori Sakamoto, in silver we have Isabella Vito, and in bronze we have Chaeyoung Kim.
Kaori is my everything.
I love her.
Her free skate was so good. It might be my highlight of the entire competition. That moment was so good for me.
Yeah, the loop at the end was so cool in the audience.
Yeah,
like everyone was just like lost their minds.
I can't believe she did like
trip to the beginning of the skate.
I know, and the trip, I don't know how it photographed, or like on camera, but it was quite like glaring in the audience. Like everyone gasped.
Yeah, Mark gasped on the stream. He was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, but that was one of her best solo axles. It was like easy. And I, as much as I'm a huge fan of her, I was appreciative to see the Let's Call. Because fair is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the main thing I want her to work on in the off season is trying to fix that.
Honestly, I wouldn't even know if she needs to fix it. I think she should change the short and do a loop, and then just keep the.
I think she used to.
She's getting like she's getting maybe a -1. Like
yeah. I think it was a few years ago. I think she didn't used to do it, and then Benoit said, "Try doing lots." She's like, "Yeah, but my lots isn't very good." And he's like, "Do it anyway. They might not call it." And for a lot of times, they didn't call it.
Yeah, I think I would appreciate more if she did a loop, because right now when she does a Let's, it feels almost insulting. Like it's like I'm world champion and won't get this called. And 90% of the time she doesn't get it called.
Yeah.
And her loop is so good. I did see her say she was
Metaphor
thinking about working on a quad loop over the summer. Which
I don't know if that's a wise call before Olympics for the body.
I just don't.
She doesn't have fast enough twitch. She would have to work that.
I get people who are saying like she's won 3 world titles, you know, let her try what she wants, but I know how badly her consistency was affected last time she was training a quad.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to come back.
I would like to see a completely different layout. The free skate is
I get that.
a carbon copy of last year's layout. And I don't love it. I would like to see an axle sequence. Like those are the kind of things I want to see. Because to me, like the axle toe, double toe is not as interesting of a combination to me anymore. Especially when she like slowly loses speed and she has that incredible double axle. So I kind of want to see like a really cool axle sequence coming out of her. Or maybe even a half sow combination. Like those are the changes I would like to see.
Yeah. I like to see people change up their layouts. I know sometimes it really badly affects them when like they've had such a consistent layout like the year before and then they change it and then it all goes terrible.
And the triple flip double toe.
That's the biggest challenge is to do something different with the skills you have.
In the audience, though, the triple flip double toe, everyone was under the impression was a pop.
So, I forget every single time that it's not.
So that's the layout she chose.
But I also forget every single time that when she doesn't put a combination on her first jump that it's intentional. So like I have this like love-hate relationship with her jump layout and the whole composition of the free skate where I always am like, wait, it's a mistake. Wait, it's a mistake. But then by the end, when I've remembered why she's doing it the way she's doing it, and she's backloading all of her combos as the music gets bigger and we get more excited, I think it feels it just feels so exciting. And then that final triple flip, triple toe that she's so good at and having it hit at the toward the climax of the program, I love. And so I think there's a way to have these backloaded combos and have that fit with a program that just keeps building and building. And I don't feel like this is quite it. I don't know, but by the end of the program, I was like, yes, I love that you're putting the combos at the end.
The triple flip double toe isn't in the second half. So I don't know why. It gives the appearance as it is because it isn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to see a different layout. I want to see a different kind of music style. The short didn't work for me at all this season. I don't think it worked for the
either programs
either because she didn't score well in the short really all year. She should be consistently getting 80 in the short, in my opinion. And to me, if she does like a stellar loop with straight fives, an incredible axle, and then a killer flip toe second half with some incredible choreo, it will be 80 every time. I think the Let's is going to be a choice to keep doing it in the short, especially now at the World Championships when you get an E on it for a flawless. Like that was her best when I saw her do all week, that Let's. So it'll be interesting. But right now she kind of is in a situation where it's like, why change anything? Nobody's close to me.
What would you like to see her skate to? Because I feel like she probably will try something different. She seems like she's been in, like she said she wanted to keep experimenting with different things and then pick what worked best for the Olympic season. Yeah. So
she said choreo is in Canada and the USA, but she didn't specify who was doing choreo. So
USA, there's not a lot, so that kind of
might be Rowene again.
Sorry?
It might be Rowene Ward again.
I would love a Rowene program for her. I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything at the top of my head. My favorite program of hers, and I feel like everyone's, is kind of Gladiator. That short program is insane. I would like to see something of that-esque. I don't know what that's going to be. Like, it wouldn't take long. If you gave me an hour, I could probably come up with a list of them. It's just at the top of my head. I could see her do like a really powerful women's tango in a short. like, and do something that builds and builds and builds and builds and builds and kind of leaves you like gasping for air at the end. I think that could be kind of interesting. I just don't want to see like basic music like The Short. Like, she's too good for that program, in my opinion.
I like the sentiment behind it, but I don't think it ever wowed anyone.
Yeah. I keep trying. I'm trying to think of like what I want from her, but even though I can't believe I'm going to say this. I kind of hate Les Mis programs, but I almost want her to do a Les Mis program. I want her to do something that has like.
She could kill a Phantom.
Yeah.
Big emotional resonance. I feel like that would be great.
Big emotional things, but something that gives her like a through line of a story that we know, but that has a some like very powerful sections to it.
Flair for drama. I mean, The Matrix was so iconic for her.
It was great. So, it was such a great choice.
But she's also somebody that I could see doing a program, like almost the way Hana Yoshida's short this year gave a little kind of like wink. I mean, a literal wink to the judges, but like I could almost see Carrie doing something that let that sort of like fun part of her personality come through. I wouldn't want it to go like too campy, but I'm trying to think of something that would let her be have like a little bit of that playfulness too.
Yeah.
For a short, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway,
otherwise,
it would be fun for her choreographers. I almost hope that she kind of gets too many programs. Like, I want a buffet. I would love like if Evgenia Medvedeva start the season and you do 2 challengers with 2 different free skates. Like, I kind of would love that. I feel like upset that not as many people, like people who aren't or are kind of set with their technical elements. So kind of that excludes the boys. The girls that are really like set, I love the idea of multiple versions and multiple different programs that you can adjust over the year. If the layout's the same, it takes nothing to do it differently. Like, and it's better for your brain. You don't have to do the same thing every day.
Yeah.
Like 2 short programs that you kind of rotate between, and it's a surprise what you're going to do at the World Championships. Like, she kind of, to me, that something interesting like that would make her like an icon in the sport.
Yeah.
Because she could do it. Like, she could really have 2 short programs. The layout's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say though, watching that whole women's free skate where
roller coaster.
It was and technically it was such a roller coaster, but artistically and musically it was so boring.
Yeah.
It was so boring.
Yeah.
And I really don't like Luna's free skate, but I was like, well, at least you're doing something different. And then I got to Kaori and I was like, phew, and I don't even like feeling good, but it was just
I hate that song, but it was so good in the moment.
Exactly. It was such a relief to have somebody skate to something that like actually had some strength and character to it. I just feel like so much of the music right now feels like it's all just sort of generic movie music and soft things, or I don't know. I'm a little frustrated with the men and their sort of like very intense like all the men who have like I'm skating to like intense anime attack music. I'm also tired of. So like I'm gonna, this is like an overall criticism. I would like everyone to be more interesting, please.
I'm so on that wavelength, and we'll get into that in the men's event.
Okay.
Is that Kalmura program? Honey.
But even I find, and people love Selevko's okay, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get
there. I knew you were kind of going with Selevko's program in that comment as well. But yeah, and like I feel like Amber could do so much more with her music choices.
Oh my god, Amber
killed me. I felt so bad for her. But I don't feel like this. I feel the same way about Amber's music choices as I do about Roman Sadowski's music choices. You can do so much more. You have so much personality. You can do so much more. It doesn't have to be this kind of slow, sad, boring kind of thing. Like, you have the personality to pull off something so much bigger and so much greater.
And I mean,
the only person it worked for to me, I think, Isabeau. I find it works perfectly for her skating, and it's a breath of fresh air when you see someone hit these lines. Because as much as I'm a Cowrie fan, there are no lines or extension in the same way, and it's not her. It's not her style.
yeah.
Mhm.
She goes for a more movie, like from the soul kind of, which is fun to watch. But as a more placed ballet, it is gorgeous to watch Isabeau skate.
Yeah.
When every single thing is just so perfectly placed. So I find her music choices fantastic.
Yeah.
These dresses are gorgeous in person. I did give her shit about her hair because she just had like hair like that was like this, and it was just like flowing in her face the whole time. I'm like, where was the hairspray? I spoke to her after it. But gorgeous costumes. She did such an amazing job. Like the pressure of that moment. Wow.
Yeah.
Especially like,
considering she's not had the best season in terms of consistency or
yeah, and
reliability with her
after,
elements.
Cowrie, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not easy to do at all. In many ways, though, it kind of probably took the pressure off of her.
Yeah.
But I find her music choices, I thought they were bang on. I think I know her Olympic program, but obviously I would never say that.
Ooh.
But it's amazing too, let me tell you. So she's got a good brain on, like she knows what she's doing. Like she'll be fine. I find I want to see her work with new choreographers. I think she would benefit from a Sandra Bezic. I think that would.
And I'm so glad she ditched like the snake program because that never worked.
No, and it's not her vibe to be that like slinky.
No.
Yeah.
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 I mean, this is the year when you want to try new things because it's not a pre-Olympic year and it's not an Olympic year. So this is the year when you want to kind of explore. But I'm glad that exploration did not take all season and that it was just like
a program to me that I think, especially in the audience, and with that it just doesn't work at all, was the Hana Yoshida free skate.
Yeah.
Makes not a lick of sense. And there's birds and then she has like the Johnny red hand and it's like a crane, but then it's Savchenko's Olympic music.
Yes.
And then there's all these bird sounds and there's these weird choreography in the middle. It's like, it's a trip. And it does not work. And she's like, and it bothers me because her Florence and the Machine short program is,
oh god, yeah,
it is to die for. Like if that is not the 2026 Olympic short program, then she might like.
Oh, she should go back to that.
It's such a missed opportunity. So I think like she's such a happy girl. You watch her walk around the venue, and she's all smiles.
Yeah.
Like perfect music selection, Monet Chiba.
Yeah.
Short and free, 10 out of 10. You're getting all my points. Such a shame about those mistakes because she was so ready in practice. It was insane. I was like, she's the bronze medalist, if not the silver.
Like, I had her pegged as bronze.
A shame. And they're fluke. I swear to God, I didn't see her pop all week. And then a triple loop bake fall like that, like June's toe. What on the planet? Like, are you kidding? So I felt really bad for her because I would have liked to see her as the bronze medalist because I am a Shea and Kim. Like, I do enjoy her skating. I don't love her skating. It's very to herself, which is fine. There's a lot of skaters that do that. I'm not exactly the most outward expressive person, but the music is very heavy and it's very dark in the programs, and it makes it look like, do you like skating?
I liked her programs last year, both of them, so much better than her programs this year.
Yeah, I agree completely.
I loved the free dress. I didn't love the free program. I loved the dress all year. I've just never connected to that program. I think she's incredibly talented.
I find she doesn't carry a lot of flow on the landings. And it's almost at a standstill for all of the jumps.
Yeah. I was not mad that she got bronze. I felt like she did a great job of.
Not mad at all. She deserves it. She won the bronze in that competition.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was really happy that Hayen went back to the short program and
I
did
take
so
that
well
back.
with it.
Kimmy won the bronze in that event. Dying day.
Yeah.
That
Kimmy
was a
did great.
full standing ovation. No reviews. No nothing. Clean as a whistle. And in person, when you see someone so secure and so clean, it's a moment because it's like you're like everything was perfect. Like that was a wow. Shame about the Lets. That would in the short. That's a interesting because she didn't really miss many the whole week. But that to me is like if she's not choreographed by Carolina Costner next season, like I want the whole night, like the whole drama. I want it all. And I think like she could be a world consistent bronze medalist going into Olympics. I think she should almost win or medal at every event she enters because it's that good in person. So fast. The fastest event.
Yes, she
did a
is.
great job.
I really noticed that at Europeans this week, as I saw her more live there. But yeah, her speed is so impressive, and the way that her long lines and the way she's so tall now, and the way that impacts her jumps, I feel like I 1000% agree with Carolina, and like tell us that that's who you want to be like, not, and that we will forget that you wanted to be like a Russian jumping machine. Like I feel like she's on a transformation of like how we think of Kimmy, and I'm excited to see where she goes.
Yeah, no, I'm really interested. To me, like it was one of the more impressive free skates. When you see a skater land everything bang on, it's impressive. Like perfect. Like they all would have felt so good for her. It was such a great, and I don't know. I want to see different programs. I want to see who she is. Like I feel like she is so expressive and so not shy in person. Like very outgoing. I want to see that. So I'm interested.
Yeah, definitely. I was very glad. It was such a mixed competition because there were people that I was like, oh, great, you had such a good short program. You're back, you're here, you're great. And then it fell apart in the free skate. I was thinking about Hayen, about Young, about Nina Petrokina, like, but that's, with all of them, I'm like, that's okay. You just weren't ready yet for this.
But why? I'm not so.
I don't know about Hayen. I know Young's like only just got her triple back recently.
But the triple was mistakes. Like
and Hayen was going through something that we don't really know
what.
Yeah,
but
I need a Petrokina broke her like in December.
Exactly. That's what I meant. These were skaters. Like I was just glad they were there. I'm glad they had good short programs.
No, for sure. I don't deny. But my thing is always like with every single person at that event has a story.
Yeah.
And as someone who's like on the backside at these like competitions, like you're in the change room and everyone's taking the Tylenols, has their whole body taped up. Like everyone is in an immense amount of pain. What you choose to announce, like Elia was going to withdraw from the event.
Yeah.
And like that is serious. To think about withdrawing from your first world title is a serious thing. Like Nikolai was here and we had a conversation about withdrawing like many times.
Yeah.
An insane foot problem. I've never seen something like it. He couldn't skate for a full week, could barely walk. Like it was fully a conversation. I think he tried maybe 2 days of quad lutzes and went to Worlds. Like it was, everyone has a story. Everyone has a story. And of course I understand the Nina breaking leg. Like I completely understand that one. The ones like Young, I love Young so much. But preparation has nothing to do with like technical ability in the sense that if you can land the let's toe, you can get through a free skate. The mistake she made screamed unprepared to me. And I love her so much.
She didn't seem conditioned enough. She didn't seem conditioned enough.
And that's your responsibility. And Hayen, it's like she said she's not injured. I'm not disregarding mental, like of course she's probably going through something, but it's not her responsibility to also like disclose that information to anyone. But if you willingly show up to the World Championships, you show up to the World Championships. You don't go half in. Like Jason, I doubt he'll love me saying this. He has insane skate problems. He was going back and forth for days, didn't train. He had to go factory here, factory there, realign this blade, redo, like, was struggling so much to figure out if we were going to be able to pull it off. Everyone has a story, but at the end of the day, you have to show up and give it everything.
Yeah.
Also, somebody else who had an unfortunate issue, Nina Pinzaroni, with the frequent nosebleeds, just because she fell down the stairs recently, and I was like, "What?
That not concerning?
That's horrifying.
Really concerning.
It's horrifying."
Talking about this on Twitter. If she's getting nosebleeds from a fall, like she has damage.
Yeah, it's insane. And I know there were skaters who were being told, you may have to go on, she may have to withdraw, and you may have to go on earlier. Like they said that to Amber. They were like, Nina Pinzaroni may have to withdraw, you may have to go on before you're meant to go on. And that kind of throws everyone's like plans and schedules into whack. Like it's insane. Because like they were saying like they might have to like burn the vein closed or whatever in her nose. And it's just like, can we find out what the problem is instead of just like a quick fix? It
doesn't add up to me.
It's very concerning.
And the fact that everyone was like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." I'm like, no,
it doesn't.
Yeah. I hope she's got some people looking out for her. I've heard some concerning things about her coach, and not being, just not necessarily always being great at looking out for the skater. But yeah, I hope she's okay.
And she is one of the younger competitors here. Like, obviously, if the age change had taken fully effect, she wouldn't be here at this point. But
the only call I found in the women's event that I felt wasn't called, and they made up for it in the free skate because they called everyone's everything, was Luna Lutz in the short was under-rotated, like very drastically. To me, it wasn't even a cue. And I think even the commentator maybe mentioned it. Certainly the audience was like aware. And then she got like huge Jewy for it. And I felt like that was a little bit not fair. But I mean, they called everyone's everything in the free skate. So it worked out the way.
I knew when Luna had changed her combo to be the flip toe instead of the Lutz toe, because she always does the Lutz toe. I knew she was injured. I knew there was like a big injury there.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about that one. Just the program is such a choice, and I find the choreography is not right. Like this is not choreography.
Yeah.
Like watch the whacking. Like it needs to be like very interesting stuff. Like this, come on. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It just feels like not. And it's not her, because her face is deadpan the whole program.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't look like she likes it. Maybe she does. Maybe I'm so wrong. But her face at the beginning was.
Yeah. I think she can go in a direction that says like, I'm sexy and mature without that's different next year. And so
I'd love to see the summertime. I want like a really slinky summertime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good for her.
And like really go for it and just show like, because to me her aesthetic is like she's going to be the woman in this event and give you maturity and power, and it's not going to be through Madonna, Beyonce, what's Britney Spears, like what are that's not the answer. And like, sorry, I'm just reading that comment. I agree. It's like if you're gonna do a voguing program, you need to consult like the people that that dance style. Yeah, like that isn't something that you can just choreograph based on what feels right to the music.
Yeah,
that needs that's like, in my opinion, it's like when you're using like these types of choreography, like the Lucas Brischke African, like you kind of need to consult the people that did it. Because for her, Lucas, to me, it came off better, especially in person. It felt very and maybe I'm so wrong. I can admit that I don't know the dance style enough, but it felt very like he was treating it with such desire to do it like justice. But to me, Luna, I felt a little bit like she was like, I don't know, it didn't, like, it doesn't work. Like,
yeah, and I don't like, and I don't know him well, but Adam Soya seems like such a great person, but I do find that he does a lot of programs that feel very cultural appropriation to me, and so I would love
painting Luna in this box of that she's this club kid skater and that she can't do pretty things.
She used to be like diva skater. She used to be like big ballad skater.
But in the past like seasons, it just seems that we're giving like all these like wrong choices. Like you aren't that kind of skater that can only do this.
Yeah.
And the costume felt very like Lululemon leggings. It's no.
I want to, two things I want to not forget to say. One is that it is so throwback, but I love Young Yu's Lord of the Rings free skate. It gave me all of the being back in like 2002 feelings. It was great. And I really like the back spiral into a sow cow that she has. So
that music is amazing. Yes, I remember that sow choreo. It was like I was like, I need to steal that.
Yep. And then super happy for Josephine Talligard, who I feel like did just so well here, like right at, showed what she is. I was going to say showed what she's capable of. I mean, she's capable of doing much harder technical content than she put in here, but what she did super well. And just, I'm glad to see her get these opportunities.
Yeah. Also, I had a hard out for 90 minutes, so I will have to love you and leave you and let you talk about the men without me. But thank you, everyone, and see you soon.
Bye, Lois.
Bye.
Bye. I just wanted to run through a couple comments before we move on. Firstly, someone saying your coach is fabulous.
It is fabulous, and it goes all the way down. It's very nice.
Thank you. This was not the right coat to wear for Montreal. It was like snowing and freezing. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to the World Championships. I want to wear my fancy coat. I want to look like one of the coaches that
dress up.
Yeah. So I also bought this in Montreal like 5 years ago, and so I felt like it seemed very full circle to me. So anyway, thank you.
Someone said Cheon getting a world bronze after only skating for 7 years is insane.
I didn't know this information. I love her now.
Yeah.
Like, you better work.
Someone else mentioning that Kaori said she wanted to work on her Lutz in the off season and work on putting 2 Lutzes and 2 flips in her free skate.
It's a choice. I mean, as a skater, I can say that a change like that, especially for her timing, which is very specific, it's not like a very clear timing. Like, she really she has her own way of jumping, like really deep insight on the flip, like a delayed takeoff. It's not something that you can work on it, but to think of putting 2 in a free, like it's always going to be a work in progress. It's not like, and now I'm just going to put like an extra little bit of time into it, especially because she's touring.
Yeah.
I don't know where people are thinking she has these months of training time.
And I think we will move into the final event of the night, which was the men's event.
Insane men's event, yes.
So in first place, we have Ilya Malinin, second, Yuma Kagiyama, and third, Adam Sianfa. Talk about menning and ordinals ordinaling. What was it like being there in person?
Well, I will say that since I watched most of it from the mix zone, watching Adam just hang out in the mix zone for like 2 hours while in the green room while everyone else just came and went around him. And then the moment when he realized that he had actually gotten a medal and went sprinting off backstage to go put his costume back on, that was like such peak entertainment and drama. It was great.
I unfortunately had to miss. I was with Nikolai preparing for the free. I missed Adam because he was in the first warm-up group. I came right after it. But I remember watching it live and be like, there's no way. And then he did the next, there's no way. And then it just kept going. And then I was like, oh, he's going to do a backflip for sure. There's nothing to lose. And then he did, a bit scary, I might say. Yeah. Scared me a little bit. I was like, please don't fall on that.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. Like, I mean, it really shows that in men's skating that you can really do anything. It really debunks that, like, you can lose it in the short.
Yeah.
Like, if you are so strong in the free, you'll be just fine.
I mean, if you can be so strong and you can do it with that kind of a base value, I mean, that's the thing.
Yes.
And that he had been strong all season, so they were willing to reward that free skate because it was a short that felt like the fluke. I was honestly surprised, though, that he was able to pull it back that much because he looked off in practices, at least the ones that I saw. He was really landing very forward on a lot of his jumps. But
I was interested that he elected to still go for that Let's combo in the short program, given we had not successfully really done it this season. And then when it kind of backfired and he had to refocus and do the toe-toe now, it's like that would have been all you were thinking about. Like, it seemed like the wrong choice. And I don't love the 3 jumps in a row in the short, plus the 7 in a row in the free. I feel like I've mentioned it before. When Alina did that, everyone hated her like she was public enemy number 1. Yeah. And I just find when Adam does it, nobody bats an eyelash. And it just feels a little bit like it is the same, if not worse, problem, but it's not being shown. So I want to see him take that kind of criticism and make it different, because I find it glaring when every jump is, and then then the program kind of starts. You know what I mean? So I'm interested. He was having some interesting practice sessions. So I was interested and amazed that he pulled it off in the free. Yeah. Especially because you would be such at a mental low that you're like, kind of, there's my opportunity again.
Yeah.
It'd be so easy to just like, maybe make it easier, just get through it. But wow, what a moment.
Yeah. That was an incredible skate. I mean, Ilya had an incredible skate.
Insane.
And
he was so calm before. I saw him on the bus going in the morning to practice and then to the main event. So calm. Like I remember competing with him when we were in junior together, and he was very antsy. Young and junior, and he was having a Hershey's bar like while we were warming up, like playing video games. Like it was very that. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then like he's really made such a professional, and I feel like that's really helping him with the consistency. It's incredible to watch. He had some stellar practice sessions. I find it interesting that he warms up with doubles. Most coaches would make their skaters not do that anymore. Like I warm up every day with the dumbest combination in the world, but it's just to test my like eye awareness. I do a double loop, double loop, double loop. The dumbest combination in the world, but it's just to like check if my shoulders are over my hips. And every day my coach is like, oh, Brian will be like, do you really have to do that? Like you really have to warm up with double loop. So I kind of, when I saw him do all those doubles, I could tell Brian, I was like, well, he does all these doubles for him. But he just has such an independent approach to his skating. He knows what works for him. Like he doesn't do quads waiting for marks before the person comes, like the person's marks before him, which is interesting given his content. You think you would want to do one really tight pulling element. He doesn't jump in official practices in his run-throughs, which is another very controversial thing. Like most coaches would say, like big red flag, like you have to jump, but it works for him. Like, he kind of approaches his skating in such a personal, professional way that, like, it's so commendable to watch. For someone so young, to know so much about, like, what you need to do, it's like, oh, wow. In person, like, I was, like, making jokes. I was like, this is going to be 150 technical. Like, I was like, I'd give it. Who cares? Like, the audience, like, it was crazy. And everyone had such an appreciation. It was wow.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's the thing. I was happy. I was happy he got the gold. It was so well deserved. I was happy. It was an amazing skate. I would, totally there for the technical. I get frustrated with where his PCS go. That's a like hate the system, not the skater problem there.
Yeah.
I think
he is kind of following, though, the requirements. I 100% agree with you. The requirements are difficult steps. He's doing the hardest steps into a quad axle. He's doing a full cluster and then a quad axle out of a bracket with an exit. 10. How do you go higher? Skating skills I can understand, but he is very he hits very nice lines, and he's not that slow. I find he's faster than Adam.
Yeah, no, and skating, I don't really have a problem with him on skating skills so much. I think it's that he comes across to me as a bit messy and just like, I don't feel like he has any sense of why he's skating what he's skating, or connection to the material, or connection to the music. Like, and again, those are not like, that's like the different kinds of PCS that you could talk about. But and I think, like, again, like, he's young, he's doing amazing things, like, let that develop over time. That's fine. It's one of those things where you look at the PCS rankings and you're like, how does this skater get higher PCS than this skater?
Yeah.
And the answer is because they're doing all of those jumps, and it's that's frustrating.
The audience will reply and respond to his program more than some of the other skaters. So when you're having someone scream for a quad axle for 30 seconds, the judges are influenced.
Yeah.
And then when it's screaming the whole program followed by almost 10-minute standing ovation, you would be incorrect to say that it isn't a 9 in performance, because performance is judged based on how it is affecting the viewer. And the viewer is receiving it as it's a 10. So
that is an interesting way to think about it, in terms of why the jumps add to the performance, add to the, like, yeah, and with the audience being the link.
Because if it was a silent crowd and there was no audience standing ovation, I'm certain he would have scored significantly lower in components.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting for me thinking about, then comparing. So there's comparing him to Adam, which I agree with you on the speed, absolutely. And then there's comparing him to Yuma, whose strengths are in a totally different place. So
to me, I was kind of disappointed that Yuma didn't go for a fourth quad, because he was so strong in practice on it. And to me, I was like, I really thought if anyone was going to snag the gold from Ely, it would have been Yuma.
Yeah.
And it would have been a second quad toe. And I was just like, it felt, in hindsight now, I'm like, yeah, he would have stayed second. And it would have been in the same spot. But I would have just thought that, given how well he was skating and training, I was like, why not go for everything? But I don't know.
I mean, you have to assume that he's going to up the technical again for next year. He has to. I think that it was interesting. I was talking to a lot of people after the event who were feeling kind of demoralized about the men's event, and feeling like, oh, well, Ilya is just going to be unbeatable now. And
is that bad? I think that's fair. I do. And it's like, I will always respond to Yuma. He is my favorite of the event. Like, I respond to Jason. I respond to Yuma. I respond to Selevko. I respond to those kind of skaters. But what he's doing is worth it. And it is. Like, it is something that is so above everyone. And it is. Like, there isn't like kind of like a question. So for what's wrong with Chalk and Bates winning everything? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and consistently winning everything. What Ely is doing deserves more than what Chalk and Bates are doing to be ahead of people.
Yeah. I agree.
So until someone can do something different, and with rule changes, that can certainly affect everything. It'll be very interesting to see what the top boys want to change or adjust in the rule changes, because they are probably going to try and make it more balanced. It'll be interesting, but I think it would be incorrect to feel demoralized, because that's devaluing what someone is doing. And it isn't. Like, there's a reason nobody can do that.
Yeah.
I was very happy. I mean, seeing this final group here, I felt like so many of the skaters that I was rooting for to be able to show up here and do well were able to, and that was so much fun to see. I think, you know, Lucas just keeps improving and having his consistency, and I am so here for him rising into the top group. I was so happy for Nikolai doing so well here. Like, yeah, it was really great.
That was crazy, because like we really didn't know what we were going to get. And practice the day of the short was good. It could have been a bit better, but it was good. Short warm-up was great, but he like gets into this like next dimension, which is something that like I've seen few people be able to do. And like he can convince his brain to convince his body that he will do everything. And he talks through everything. Like, we'll be in the room and we will talk through every little detail of the thought process, and it's crazy. And the short was honestly sensational. Like, the fact that with one quad in a debut Worlds you can almost clear 94 points is insane. The free, I think it just came to a little bit of like that extra week of preparation that we had to miss would have helped that stamina, because there was 2 quads planned, but because we had to take the week off of doing the lenses, that kind of wasn't possible. Even though in the morning practice, they were firing so well. So I was like, oh, maybe. But to keep composure, like on the day in between, I remember him being so nervous to get on the official practice with the top 6. Because that's terrifying. And it was nobody else's debut Worlds, which is like crazy to think about. So the composure is insane, and he kept the 2 spots for Italy, so everyone's happy.
Good work.
I know. So he's in a good place, and he's already working on we've been working on the new programs in mind that he's going to do for months. I think Barbara is doing them. Circelli's doing the program, so that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, he said that. I'm very excited for new programs. I mean, I liked these, but I'm ready for new ones. So.
I think everyone, yeah. But actually, let him know what you want to see, because he's very conflicted.
Okay, I will think about that.
Yeah, because he loves the vibe of the free, and everything that he's thinking of for the free is kind of in a similar esque, but then he doesn't know if people want something completely left field. So
it's interesting, because I feel like I haven't seen him. I would need to go back and I've watched maybe earlier programs of his and stuff too, and think about what else he could do or would want to do, because I feel like his strengths are like the gravitas that he brings to things. And so I love that that something about that free really reminds me of like a an old like in like the best way of like a 90s program or an 80s program, even where like people had time to let the programs breathe and weren't frantic. And I just feel like he has that kind of capacity for that sort of music and that kind of program. But I'm saying that because that's what I've seen him do. So then yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely get it.
I was so happy for Dennis here. The last minute free skate change, I just knew was going to be the right thing. And it was such a smart choice. He was enjoying himself so much. And he had a very funny story, though. Apparently there's more to this story, but we had a conversation on Sunday with Stefan and then with Dennis, where they were talking about making the change. And basically it was like after Bavarian Open, Dennis had done his blues free skate and thought he'd done pretty well. And Stefan was like, nope, if you thought that was good, you're not going to get it. And we're doing something different. And so they went to the Lion King, which had been an exhibition before. But it was very funny to me that they had been trying all season to make this one program work, and then in about 3 weeks managed to put together a program that was better than anything else he did all season.
Yeah, I really hope he keeps it. I loved it. I saw the first time I saw him practice, I had full chills.
Yeah,
it was great.
As well.
He was wearing a Nike training shirt.
He's wearing Stefan's costume from a 2014 exhibition that he borrowed for this when it became his exhibition in 2018. And if he keeps it, he needs a new costume. I agree.
Yeah. I really thought it was a training t-shirt because it has like that like elbow patch that like those Nike shirts have.
Same.
Yeah, I was interested. He had really a roller coaster of practices. The day in between, like it was pretty amazing to watch. He did 4 incredible quad saws in a row. The morning of, not so good. Nothing. Yep. The day of the short wasn't so great. Like I think he missed almost every triple axel he tried the morning of the short program. Almost everyone. Didn't even try a quad. It's like, but he was very like unaffected by the practice sessions, which was quite fun to watch.
Yeah, I know he had an injury of some kind. He didn't say what it was, but was having I think had very inconsistent practices coming into the event. And then this is something that he admitted he has to deal with better in the future, is just that he was really thrown off by the rink being narrower.
Yeah,
and I was like,
here is also narrow, so heads up.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, he was at Ski in America and he was struggling with it there. So that's why I was feeling like, come on, put the cones in the rink, do something. It made sense that it was impacting. He often jumps close to the boards. He does these sort of across the rink patterns for his quad. But yeah, it was like, everyone else from Europe is dealing with the same situation that you're dealing with. You can't have that be the excuse. You have to come up with a way to deal with it.
Yeah. And it would be easier stamina wise. So then nobody wants to talk about that one. The Europeans, they love to talk about the size, but then it'll be like, you're going to get through this maybe easier.
Yeah.
Harder to do the opposite.
Good point. Yeah, I do hope he keeps the free skate. I don't know if he's going to, but I think he might do
the Olympic. I don't know.
Or he might do he might make 2 short programs. I think he was feeling a little bit like, but I want to make new programs. I have too many ideas. I don't want to just keep a program. But I was like, well, then do 2 short programs. Do something else. Like make yourself, have fun in some other way. But we'll see.
Yeah, I found another that was struggling with the rink size, which I don't get because he trained in Canada forever, was June. I think he maybe hit the boards harder than I've ever seen anyone in my life the day of the in between short and free. He tried a toe in the practice ring, hit his head on the boards, like so hard. And then every toe he tried all week, I was like, why are you burying it in the corner? Like, you have the whole ice surface. And the sows were so close to the boards. That's why the one in the short, you had to coil the toe. But in my, it was interesting watching him because he didn't warm that combination up in the 6-minute warm-up. And then it didn't work. And then I was like, you didn't do it this morning in practice, and you didn't do it in the warm-up. You're not known as a toe combination jumper. And like, where was the coach to be like, we need to warm this up? Because I think it really threw his whole worlds off. Because had he landed that and the toe and the axle, we would have been looking at high 90s, if not 100. And it would have been a different intensity brought to the free skate, knowing that that was in the mix. He also didn't practice the 2 axles in the second half all week in practice. Not in isolation, not with music. And then it didn't work. And I was like, another coaching questionable moment to me. It just felt like unprepared. And maybe there was an injury, and that would I would understand that. But if there's an injury, my answer is always, well, then we need to lessen the technical. And this isn't the time to go for 3 quads in the free skate. Because you don't need to. Jason was 5th with none. Lucas was like 6th with 2. Dennis was like 7th with none. Like we really didn't need to go for 3. Like, it wasn't mandatory. I understand at one point you have to try it, but the time is not the World Championships. I didn't like the material this season either. I think he needs like a little bit of time, recalibrate. Like, it must have been a really exciting off season coming second at Worlds last year and winning the World Team Trophy. He just needs to recalibrate, figure it out.
And he competed a lot this season while not feeling ready at any of those competitions, or at least as from how he talked about it. And I just feel like after that, like, that just throws off your confidence. It throws off.
How are you not ready at every competition? That's my question.
Yeah. I mean, it's again.
I love June. He's like a brother to me. We talk so much. And I don't understand those comments.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not my position to understand. Like, I'm totally fine with that. Like, people deal with their things and they don't have to publicly tell anyone. But if you like, my point is always like, if you willingly show up to an event, 1 time is fine. Like, you're injured, unprepared. 2 times it's whatever. And then when it's like every week, every competition is an unprepared competition. It's a bit.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I felt like I was getting the sense that he was that he might have wanted to not show up to some of those competitions and was told, no, you really got to do it. So yeah. But yeah, I hope some off-season reset, new material,
reset, and just go into it a bit differently.
Shoma was very interesting here. Gorgeous short program, kind of fell apart in the free skate. I don't know where he's gonna go from here. I don't think he knows exactly yet. I really hope it means he's inspired to not retire, but I don't know.
I'll be honest, I'm a very big Shoma fan, and I have only seen him in person a few times. And in practice, it was one of his better weeks in practice. I'm typically used to more mistakes. And he was really solid with the flip, really solid with the toe, really solid with the axle, struggling a lot with the half loop flip. That's why I was interested why he went for it when the 2 double axles were available.
Right.
He also elected to not do a 3rd combination, which to me is like waving a white flag a little bit. You're on your foot. Like, you're on your foot on a triple sow cow. You can step into a double axle. Because like, he had the availability to do triple axle, double axle, and finish with a triple sow, triple toe. And that's not thinking on your feet. That's like, like, you can do that you've done that before in competitions, and it would have solidified a bronze medal. But to me, like, he kind of waved a bit of a white flag. And I was just a little disappointed because he could have done it, but then I also understand the lack of motivation. You've kind of won everything but Olympic gold, and it's not looking possible in the current way of the men's trajectory unless they drastically change how the component scores are going to be judged, and which it's not going to happen before the Olympics, where they factor it differently.
Yeah.
But
he's definitely struggling with the motivation.
To go to Olympics for another hope of a medal sounds interesting. That it's like Hanyu going to the last one.
Yeah.
I wonder. I know he says he's very satisfied, but I wonder deep inside, as a 2-time winner, it doesn't feel good to come fourth. It wouldn't have felt good.
Yeah.
So I'm interested what he's going to do, because I would 100% respect him to retire. I would 100. I don't want it. I'm a huge fan, but I would respect that decision. As to me, it makes sense, because you kind of want to go up at the top. You don't really want to be like, oh, he's still skating. Oh, he's still doing that. Like,
yeah.
I'm interested because he looked like on practice, he looks like he really wants to do it, and he's in great shape. It's just the other boys have stepped it. Like, if the minute Yuma does the 4 quads,
yeah,
there you go. Like, the minute Adam can pull a short program, it's starting to get a little bit like, are we going to get the bronze? Are we going to get the 4?
Right. And that's the thing where he's not like Shoma's not necessarily in a great place to increase I mean, he could go back to trying to do a 5 quad free skate, but it's tough, and he doesn't usually skate it clean when he does 5.
No, I can't remember it working ever.
Yeah. And yeah, and yeah, I think it's tough, and I think, you know, I think he sometimes is motivated by the idea of competing with, like, having people who are around who are better than him and trying to, like, that I think is motivating to him. But then it could also be, you know, at some point it becomes more like, I think, like, it's been interesting to watch his comments, because it seems like it's been going kind of up and down.
100%.
Yeah,
I agree completely.
And it was also interesting that you know, Stefan was very like, okay, we don't know what, basically, like, we don't know what happened. This was like a fluke. He was so prepared. He was doing so well.
Maybe the loop was 50-50 all week.
Yeah.
So the flips were bang on. Toes are bang on. Loops are 50-50.
Yeah.
So when that missed, I was shocked, upset, but I wasn't like.
Yeah. Well, exactly. But he's usually I feel like he is usually a little bit of a stronger competitor in the sense of, like, not letting it go in the way that he did here. So, but that Stefan was saying that it was like, that he was like not sure whether for Shoma this was more like the experience of getting a 4th where you think it makes you really hungry and sort of pissed off and ready to keep going, or it's more like he was comparing it to himself getting 4th at the Vancouver Olympics, and it being like really, really hard to process, but actually like needing to realize that was as good, that was like where you are, and you have to figure out how to move on from it. So I don't know. It was like, I feel like those were.
It'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah. I was trying to think if there was anybody else that in the rest of the men's event that particularly wanted to mention, and I did just want to say Hyung-Young Kim, the younger Korean boy, I thought did so well here, and I'm really excited for him in the future.
I want to give a shout out to Donovan Carrillo.
Yes, definitely.
I thought, you know, he's made a lot of changes this season after the surgery. He moved coaches, and I think this Worlds was like a great peak skate to have. He landed the quads. He said he was happy with his quads, his axles, and he's looking forward to making history. So I'm really excited to see where he goes leading up to the Olympics as well.
Yeah, I was so happy for him. It was great. Yeah, it was this whole men's free skate qualification was very stressful. 40 men is a lot.
The cut was never so high.
Yeah.
Also, the first couple of groups from the short program, the ones that didn't qualify into the free skate, I really enjoyed just watching like the first 2 or 3 groups, because I thought even though there wasn't the technical side of skating that was like the top, I thought it was really nice to see the skaters that gave it more with their artistry and artistic side. And I really enjoyed that. People like Yuri Kessler and who was it? Davide Lucenbrain. I really enjoyed just watching them skate to enjoy stuff.
Definitely. I did an interview with Walter Virtanen after the short program, and he's always such an interesting skater, and it was cool to talk to him about, you know, what his motivation is at this point in his life and his career, and feeling like for him the question isn't whether he keeps going as much as like why stop. He's finally gotten his life and his training and everything in like a way that it's working, and so as long as he can feel like he's improving, then it's, you know, he might as well keep doing it. And in like until Finland gets a man that's stronger than him, you know, why not? But it was also interesting. He was thinking about, well, will the changes that are coming, you know, help him or hurt him, and like looking at that as well for the next season.
I see a comment about Selevko in a machine in practice. Yeah. So consistent. It was remarkable to watch. And the quad lutz is so consistent in practice too. So I wonder why he elected not to go for it. Oh, actually, no. He did elect to go for it. He popped it to a triple. That's why he switched to the second half to flip axel. But he did pop it to a triple, which was a really convenient pop, because it's not common to see it that way. So good in practice. I agree. I would have had him in the top 10 as well.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to say, as we're wrapping up, if what was everyone's highlights, like memorable program, memorable moment, that sort of stuff.
Ooh.
Cowrie, Dennis, and Piper and Paul are the 3 that I think, if I had to pick, like that are the ones that stand out with me that I won't think about. Like I want to go back and rewatch because I want to think about how it felt to watch those live in the arena.
For me, I would say I agree with the person who said Adam 19th to 3rd, just as something that happened. And Carrie as well as like a moment.
I just have to say it because I don't know if we'll ever see it again, just based on growing puberty, body changes. The idea of being in the rink for Elia's free skate and watching that and how everyone was losing their mind. I think it could be forever the highest. And with rule changes, it will be a new world record. World records stop now.
Yeah.
And there'll be new ones next year. So it was, to watch a world record live in person is insane.
Mine were Dennis's free skate, Marjorie and Zach's, just both of their performances, and watching her be like so emotional after the free dance, obviously after what she's been through this season, and Deanna and Max's free skate and like everything in the competition, watching them win at home was amazing.
Yeah. I feel like there's a whole other conversation, like just thinking about the experience overall. I feel like I had a lot of conversations with people about the coming technical changes. I sat through the ice dance coaches meeting. I wish I had managed to sit through the singles coach and pairs coaches meeting, but it was very interesting. They also had a press conference for like with the ISU president and director general to talk about nothing that was, and it was ridiculous. And so I feel like I have a lot of like, how does the skating system and the ISU work thoughts that I'm trying to turn into an article, at least about the technical changes that'll be coming. But that's like, there's that side of things, and then I feel like there was the skating I saw on the ice, and those are both. I'm leaving like with strong feelings about both of those things, and I saw Corey look excited.
Sorry, I had a light bulb moment. I saw, and I'm interested to see what people say, or you guys also have to say. Alexander Lekarnik there with full accreditation.
Ooh.
And I was interested. He was invited to attend the event with full accreditation. So I wonder what that means for sport, because he wasn't invited to the previous World Championships.
But he did go to the Congress.
He did go to the Congress, yes. But I'm interested, why was he there? What was the reasoning of that? How was he accredited? Like, there's a lot of questions, so I'm interested what that means. I don't think anyone really knows the answer to that.
There was a lot of questions in this press conference where we got no answers. There was a lot of questions about when, would the Russians return? Why are there so many Russians that get accreditation as coaches? Why is that okay? Why are we, allowing, and then there's a question of country switching, which is a slightly different thing, but somebody asked.
Have Samuel Delkina next season attempt to go for gold if she can.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was very, there were also a lot of questions about like athlete safeguarding and abuse and what's the role of the ISU given everything that's going on. And I have to say, it was pretty offensive to me that not only did they not really answer that question, the ISU president tried to pivot to saying, but we want to celebrate our skaters. And isn't Deanna amazing? And went on to tell us Deanna's story, which as if we didn't all know Deanna's story already. And as if you can't, like, somehow celebrating skaters is like in opposition to talking about keeping skaters safe from abuse. Like, it was such a clumsy pivot, and it was so condescending that I was like, my mouth was open, and like the more experienced reporters in the room were like, this is what sports organizations are like, get used to it. But I'm like, this would not fly in like local politics where I work. Like, they should not expect to be able to get away with being this bad at holding press conferences.
I think the other thing I was thinking with Lekarnik was that he's like honorary president or something. He holds a title technically still. I'm not sure what it was, so I wonder if he's there like as an ISU member, just independently.
That like vague ISU VIP section of people.
Yeah. Basically.
Weird though.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. As the current way it stands, I see how it's impossible that a Russian athlete will be able to compete as it is state-sponsored. Yeah. And with the new rules for the Paris Olympics, it's really only pro athletes that are self-sponsored, like tennis or something like that. I don't see how an athlete who's receiving the same funding that's funding the war can go and participate. I see how that's because the athletes aren't doing it, but you have to think they're getting there because of the state.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting situation because it's also how long can the war run? But I'm also not delusional to think that the events would benefit from, maybe not the men, but the events would benefit from them being there. The pairs would sweep. And if anyone disagrees, that's an incorrect comment. Like, you know what I mean? They would go 1, 2, 3.
They would, but I think I will say subjectively as a skating fan, I enjoy that. Pairs. Yes, I enjoyed this pairs field more, like less strongly. I didn't watch women when the Russians were sweeping. I found it really boring. And so I have a hard time, with the idea there.
It's hard to say. I'm such a Kami fan, so it's my dying day.
And that's okay. We don't have to agree. We don't have to agree about it. But that is like, that is an aesthetic judgment, not about like the moral questions of whether the Russians should be allowed to compete. So I don't want to blur those two lines. Yeah,
for sure. But they would sweep the women. I'm just gonna say it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I just like, I agree that they shouldn't be there, but I also think it's great for the sport to have that push.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really missing in the junior categories too. It's just, it's hard to see because we don't see a foreseeable end.
Yeah.
I don't see a foreseeable end, at least. So I have no clue how they're going to figure this out. But I was just interested because I didn't expect to see Lakernick there.
That is really that is really
I was on the elevator and I did a quadruple take. Like I was like, and then I read because I'm like, I know him, but I wasn't sure because I haven't seen him in like 4 years. Maybe 5.
I rode the elevator with Nathan Chen and I had a moment of like, wait, that like very funny.
Yeah.
Corey, before we wrap up, can you tell us a little bit about what's next for you? We saw you were getting a new program from Guillaume.
Yes. Oh my God, that was a dream. I've known him before, but he's obviously very good friends with the Fears, Lila Fear, and I'm very good friends with the Fear family. And we were like spitballing ideas, and she was like, "Well, I can just give you his number," and then she gave him mine, and then he sent me a message, and I was like, "This is just a dream." So yes, we finished the short on Tuesday, and then I came to Worlds on the Wednesday, and it was so much fun. But I honestly, I was just staring at him the whole time. I was like, "Can you just do that again?" I'm such a fan of yours that every time he did like a step or a set series of turns, I was like, "Well, I'm never gonna make that look like that." I'm such a fan, and I kept trying to ask if he was coming back.
He had very nice things to say about working with you, though. So it was good.
Yeah.
And did you have dinner with Michelle Yeoh?
I did.
Yes.
I did. Actually, not to like name drop, but I'm gonna name drop. So Guillaume was here, and Nikolai lives with me when I'm here, and I live with him when we're there. We're like twins. So we were here, and Guillaume was here, and so Brian was like, Brian has these 2 great friends that own this Lao restaurant in Toronto, and Brian was like, let me arrange a dinner. And then Guillaume was staying with Jeff Buttle. So just the idea that me and Nikolai got to sit at a dinner table with Brian Orser, Guillaume Cizeron, and Jeffrey Buttle was insane. And we all like dressed up, and it was like this whole thing. And then the owner of the restaurant's very good friends with Michelle Yeoh because she's filming Star Trek in Toronto. And she, whatever. And they said, well, Michelle's coming in an hour. And then I almost started crying because I'm like her biggest fan. And then not only did Michelle come, but the entire cast of Star Trek came. And at first we were like, we didn't know, like maybe they wanted privacy. And the owners were like, no. So that me and Nikolai went to go meet her, and she like moved someone. And she said, come sit beside me. And she's like holding our hands and like talking between the 2 of us. It was adorable. And then we like leave and go have dinner. And then she walks back with a glass of wine and comes and sits in between Guillaume and I for like 20 minutes. With some of the
amazing.
And she is the coolest. I was asking her about Wicked, everything. That was like, me and Nikolai left that dinner and we're like, I don't think something like that's gonna ever happen again. Like it was like the coolest moment of like so many people at the top of their professions that you get to sit with, and you're like, it's crazy. But yeah, so that happened.
That is so cool. We are all like, okay, so now we're two degrees of separation from Michelle Yeoh. That's very cool.
Yeah, it was so cool. But yeah, no, apart from that, obviously we have to wait for rule changes and adjust some of the programs accordingly. Brian and I and Boyang are going, and Tracy are going to an ISU seminar in Bangkok for a week.
Oh, cool.
For upcoming countries that ISU is running. The first week of May or second week of May. And that's going to be super exciting. We just found out there's like 15 countries, like developing countries coming. And then Nikolai and I are going on a little vacation just like before summer training begins, and then I'll start competing beginning September, and I'm gonna try and do as many events as I possibly can.
Yay!
So
Come to Cranberry Cup.
I was thinking, but you have to think ISU points.
Okay.
And Cranberry Cup only top 3 get points. And most likely the top Americans are going to be in attendance. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
But I do have a full schedule. We're going over it with the Italian Federation pretty soon. They want to see programs, everything. I got to sit with them at Worlds, but be a busy season.
Super exciting. Yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing you compete again next year. And I also think you'll have a great time in Thailand, at least judging by
I've never been.
I talked to
requests, like ideas.
When I talked to Jimmy Ma and Emily and Spencer, who did that, I think a similar thing last summer.
Yes,
and they had the best time. It sounded so good. Like fun from a skating perspective, and then just like a great trip.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Figure out about it so long.
Just before we end, someone jokingly said this. Why is Nikolai figure skating a 6'5" the Lakers need him? Which led me to a question someone asked us to ask you, which was, is he actually 6'5" or is he taller?
I would say 6'5". Maybe the hair will say 6'6". No, 6'5". With skates, probably 6'8".
Yeah.
Like quite crazy.
Yeah.
But it's fun to watch. I mean, he was skating in the same practice group with the Japanese, and it was like he was taking his little kids to work. It was or like the flower girls, but then all of a sudden the flower girl was doing a quad flip. So it was like, wait a second, this isn't adding up. It's wild.
It's so impressive. I, as a 5'11", and was told like my whole life that I was too tall to be a skater, the fact that like he can do what he can do is just so cool.
And his mom, who's his coach, she's very technically focused, and we'll be like having a conversation. And he was here when a Russian boy landed a quad axel, and she looks at him and she goes, "Okay, so we need to start," but straight face. "So we need to start working on this." And I laugh and I go, "There's no way he can do it. He's so too tall." And she goes, "There's no such thing." And I was laughing.
He probably would think he was too tall to land a triple axel. So
yeah. So it was so funny to hear someone be like, "That's not a thing." And I feel like if you really get it out of your mind, then it's not.
Yeah.
Because
that's so cool.
I know, I remember at the Sheffield Grand Prix, I stood next to you and you were in your skates, but I felt very short next to you. And I'm like 5'1", 5'2". So I can't imagine that next to Nikolai.
I know, yeah.
I feel short next to Nikolai, so, and I normally feel like I'm a giant when I talk to skaters, so. But it's so cool.
And just to end on, Josh, said, just wanted to shout out Corey for all the insightful comments. Been listening for almost the entire life, and he's been awesome. And then a couple of people just saying they're excited to see you back next season and hope you have a great season.
That's very fun.
So I think with that, we'll end the stream. Thank you everyone for watching and listening for over 2 hours. Hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you probably in a couple of weeks with some more like season wrap-up streams. So bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.